Good afternoon, my name is Ilya. Today, we are at the office of the developer Sobha and we'll talk about the developer itself and two key projects that are currently for sale. When talking about the developer itself, there are several key points that are important to know. First, it is a family-owned company that is 46 years old. Why is this important? Because the owner, his wife, and his children have placed all their bets in their entrepreneurial lives on the development of this company. They have no outside businesses, no external investments, and so on. All 46 years have been dedicated to developing this company as their own creation. Therefore, if something happens to the company, they essentially lose their main business. That is, everything is placed on zero, and accordingly, the bets are quite high. This is reflected in the fact that Sobha is the name of the owner's wife, and they regard it as a reflection of the family's reputation and legacy. Menon, the owner of the company, despite his age, he turned 76 last November, has not stepped back from operational management. He is in the office every day, makes decisions himself, and this, of course, greatly inspires the employees. This is one of the largest construction companies in the Emirates, and with such a large staff, seeing how the leader behaves also influences their approach to work. Sobha is indeed the only developer that has all its processes in-house. That is, Sobha does not have contractors. Sobha purchases household appliances and electronics. This will vary in 7 categories depending on the class of the project. But everything else, the door handles, glass, metal doors, floors, all the concrete that has been produced, the trees that have been grown and planted, the employee who will greet you at the reception in the building, all of these are Sobha employees who work directly in this company. Why is this important? Because one could fairly argue that if only such a model worked, we probably wouldn't have a single good house, except for this developer. This is undoubtedly true. Good developers do exist, that is an indisputable fact, but we are still talking about statistics, about the fact that when you work with contractors, there is a certain gap in that these are two different companies with different processes that understand the business differently. They may not understand each other, and consequently, the problem of expectations versus reality, delays, and missed deadlines becomes relevant. And this is, well, very often a significant issue. Here, essentially, the same team builds the same project in a conveyor-like manner, which accordingly eliminates any errors regarding the promises made by the developer about delivering to the client on time. Well, accordingly, the approach in terms of attentiveness, construction quality, design, and so on will be at the highest level. Accordingly, Sobha has already demonstrated this, as the developers in Dubai have completed 8 projects, all delivered flawlessly, either on time or significantly earlier. Consequently, there has not been a single case where a client did not receive the keys on the first attempt. Let's talk about the Sobha Hartland 2 project. This is the main flagship project of the developer that he is working on. It is important to know that Hartland itself is a separate and well-known brand in Dubai's market among clients and brokers, because the developer essentially started his career, his knowledge, and his reputation in Dubai with Sobha Hartland 1. Today, it is an inhabited area. There are still a few houses left to hand over, but in reality, mothers are walking with strollers, people are walking their dogs, drinking coffee, and generally really love the area. It is practically impossible to quickly find something to rent here. When that project was completed, its next phase was released, the second chapter. This was released last year, in May 1923 respectively. Several changes have occurred here that are important to know if you are comparing it with the first Hartland. The fact is that the area, which is the same size, a very large 74 hectares, received almost half as many apartments. If in the first Hartland there were 10,000 apartments, here there are 6,500. Accordingly, we are talking about less competition at the exit if you are an investor. Accordingly, there will be fewer neighbors with whom you will have to compete when renting or reselling. This is very important, and it is also crucial to understand the distribution of internal juice. Second, modernized architecture, because there were still 6 to 7 years between the launches of the 2 projects. And accordingly, there is a larger amount of water here because the first Hartland features a lagoon that runs through the entire area. In its narrow parts, it is 30 meters wide and 50-60 meters wide in other sections. But the point is that it is there for the entire area, and the developer shares it with other developers as well. Here, accordingly, the area is closed and localized with 3 lagoons inside the vast space. This all pertains only to the community. To the residential part, excluding outsiders from other developers, there will not be another community accordingly. The long sections of the lagoons near the apartments are 450 meters each. So, just imagine, if you have ever seen an Olympic 50-meter swimming pool, this is like having 9 more of those. And accordingly, there is a private lagoon here. Next. About the area itself. Here we had and still have Heartland 1, and here is Heartland 2. What is important to know? What you are buying is essentially an apartment in the center of Dubai. We have 2 centers in Dubai, the tourist center and the business center. The tourist center includes Palm Jumeirah, Dubai Marina, and JLT, which you have probably heard of, and so on. Accordingly, the business and financial district includes downtown Business Bay, DFC, and so on. And, accordingly, this bay, creek, and the entire area around it is currently being actively developed, and all of this is essentially becoming a new business center of Dubai. The airport is also here, so you can get there in almost 15 minutes for 12. What is important, 10 minutes to downtown, 10 minutes to Maidan, 2 of the largest malls in the world, just 10 minutes by car. Half of Dubai's Michelin guide is in downtown. Any restaurant, any brand, any kind of entertainment you can think of, and, mostly with the prefix the best in the world, is just a 10-minute drive away. While in the downtown area you live with only 100 million tourists coming to Dubai Mall each year, here you have just 6,500 residents. Accordingly, you live in privacy, in silence, among the trees, with plenty of water nearby, while still having a 10-minute accessibility to all key locations and any task. Nearby, part of the bay is a nature reserve. There are pink flamingos and mangrove forests. Accordingly, this serves as a beautiful view from the window. There are apartments with views of the bay, the creek, and the nature reserve. About the district itself. As he said, first of all, it is a community. Why is the community important? Because when you live in an isolated separate house, you have an amenities area which includes a pool, a gym, and so on. But when you step outside, you enter the outside world. The outside world no longer belongs to you. Tourists, cars, and so on. Here is the territory, the entrance under the barrier, everything that is inside. The developer Feldschill primarily caters to residents and is mainly used by them. The community is large, as mentioned, covering 74 hectares, which includes the entire downtown area, along with Burj Khalifa, Dubai Mall, all the skyscrapers nearby, the fountain, and so on, excluding again the 100 million tourists just at Dubai Mall. In this area, as mentioned, there will be 122 villas and 6,500 apartments. Additionally, besides Pro Laguna, it was said that there will be a mall designed for the community, a British school, and a vast amount of greenery that the developer grows and plants themselves, with 30% of the area allocated for landscaping. Accordingly, there are places to walk and spend time. Again, there is a huge amount of water in the pools, especially in the amenities areas, where there are many pools in the recently released building that is currently being actively sold. There is also a sports pool here. And the entire part of the apartment buildings on the first floors is retail, including cafes, restaurants, Starbucks, and so on. In other words, going back to the fact that we have everything within minutes for any task, you actually don't need to go anywhere at all, and everything can be resolved within the community right outside your home. If you have children, there is no need to deal with the issue of having a driver or taking your child to school every morning, because there are few roads, many speed bumps, and it takes only 5 minutes to get to school. Children walk. Just like in the first community, Sobha has 2 schools, and all the little children come to and leave from school. Accordingly, this is what the community looks like. The area also includes 2 clubhouses. A clubhouse consists of sports facilities, plus free spaces that can be rented for free for various activities that can be held. Accordingly, this is the last house that has been completed here. What is important is that it differs in architecture from the previous houses that were released in the community. It is one of the last ones that came out. Well, accordingly, there are 3 towers. In terms of architecture, this is also important. It is a feature of the developer, as few developers use this approach. Sobha has this feature in almost every building. These are hanging gardens, platforms with double light at different heights, where residents can step out, enjoy a coffee, and work with a beautiful view surrounded by trees at a high elevation. The developer provides interior solutions with a complete finish, meaning a fully completed renovation with all household appliances, electronics, and so on, except for furniture and decor. Accordingly, you will need to complete this in terms of the bed, sofa, and so on, but everything else in the apartment is fully ready for occupancy, practically from day to day. after picking up the keys. In general, you can stay here and sleep today. The developer provides interiors in minimalist tones, such as white, beige, and so on, which is very convenient for designers when it comes to decor and furnishing because it is very stylish and versatile for setting up the apartment layouts. Here are typical examples of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units that are available in stock. Here is a typical 1-bedroom apartment that overlooks the lagoon, measuring 59 square meters. Again, you can imagine that for the Russian-speaking segment, this is a very large 1-bedroom apartment. Accordingly, the master bedroom has a balcony. The balcony is not very large, unlike, for example, a terrace. Again, during the summer, it is not always clear how to use it, but it is large enough to furnish it, add landscaping, and so on. Then there is the living room combined with the kitchen, and accordingly, the utility area where the washing machine is located, along with separate baths. Such an apartment will cost 1,174,000 dirhams. This building will be handed over in December of the 28th year, just like all the communities, which will also be handed over in December of the 28th year. So, moving into this house, you will no longer see construction sites. You will have all the infrastructure and a fully developed neighborhood. Accordingly, the payment plan here is 60 to 40, meaning that you have a 20% booking fee. Booking, which can be split by request, and accordingly further payments can be made over 12, 24, 30, or 36 months. That is, you see, the plan is quite favorable in terms of calculating your cash flows. You pay 40% only in December of the 28th year, which is in 4 years. A 2-bedroom apartment with a view of the lagoon is 107 square meters. Again, the kitchen is combined with the living area, and there is a balcony overlooking the lagoon. Additionally, there are 2 master bedrooms, plus an extra room that can be used, for example, as an additional dressing room. Such an apartment will cost 2,180,000 dirhams. The payment plan is similar, 60 to 40, with handover on December 28th. This is an example of a 3-bedroom apartment in the second Hartland. It is important to note that out of 6,500 apartments, there are only a few hundred 3-bedroom apartments. And most of them are being purchased for end use, meaning they are unlikely to enter the secondary market or be rented out. This makes it very clear and easy to explain to a future secondary buyer or tenant why living here is preferable to somewhere else nearby. Moving on to the next question, why should one rent or buy from you rather than your neighbors? This gives you a very strong negotiating position because you cannot buy from my neighbor. Accordingly, you have all the cards in your hands to manage the price and achieve the maximum ROI that you can. Accordingly, such apartments start at 3.6 million dirhams, depending on the view and floor. The payment plan is the same, 60 to 40, 20 for the reservation, and 40 upon handover. So the completion of this project, shown here as a 3-room apartment, is scheduled for July 27th. Accordingly, the 3-bedroom apartments may be available either on July 27th or December 28th of the year. However, please pay particular attention to the 3-bedroom apartments in this project from a liquidity perspective. The first Heartland community has shown that these apartments offer the highest profitability in terms of further negotiations with tenants and secondary buyers. Here we have the layout of the Heartland 2 community, which, as mentioned, is a large area of 74 hectares enclosed from the outside, with a significant amount of greenery, 30% landscaping, featuring both villa and apartment sections, several lagoons, 3 in total, 1 private in the villa section, and 2 measuring 450 meters in length in the apartment sections. A milk farm on the premises, a British raiding school, 2 clubhouses where you can escape the heat, engage in sports, and accordingly, a vast number of places for walking with pets and children, and so on. The last house we considered before is now on sale. This is the one on the corner, the glass one. And accordingly, in these buildings, you can also find something for yourself with a view of the lagoon, the bay, or for example, the Burj Khalifa, which is over there. If you like this project, go to the description of the video and leave a request.